Welcome to the Base Path Podcast, brought to you by New England Baseball Journal. I'm your host, Dan Guttenplan. Today's guest is the founder of the Show New England travel program, Steve Lomasney. The former Red Sox prospect will coach the Red Sox scout team at the WWBA World Championships in Florida on Columbus Day weekend. Steve, thanks so much for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Dan. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So you kind of wrapped up your travel season for the summer. How did that go? And how is it? I know that you've been in it a lot longer than most people in terms of travel baseball in New England. You were kind of one of the originals. How is it comparing now to, what it was 10 years ago in terms of, getting the looks in the summer?
I mean, the environment has definitely changed for sure. I think that from a recruitment standpoint, guys like me and our program that have been doing it for a long time, there's been a tremendous evolution. Really what it comes down to is obviously it's important to have super talented players, guys that have the ability to play at the next level. But just being able to have that network of college coaches throughout the country to be able to have those conversations, get those guys. It is really a rat race for the college coaches right now. I don't envy their job. Obviously with the dynamic of currently the rosters being dropped to 34, NCAA transfer portal, there's so much more involved for these guys and to be able to have, people like myself and a few others in the area that have done it for a very long time, understanding the landscape that these guys are recruiting in. It only helps the players in our program because we're finding the right fits. And we're getting the right looks, and we're making sure that the schools that are coming to watch our guys are recruitable to those programs, and it's worked out well for us.
So would you say guys are still getting recruited out of travel ball programs? Because like you said, with the transfer portal now, you've got all these college coaches who are, trying to preserve their jobs, and they have opportunities to go get, maybe a 20-year-old guy who hit, 285 in the ACC, but just wasn't getting the at-bats that he wanted. And he can come to a program, D1 program, and say, he could contribute immediately. And it's not as much projection as saying, hey, maybe this 16-year-old pitcher could come here and help us out like his sophomore, junior year. Are you still seeing as much interest in the high school guys with the way the college landscape has changed?
It has definitely gone down, especially from a position player standpoint. And if I were a college coach, I'd be navigating the environment the same way that they are. There are guys out there, and I don't know what the exact number is right now, but I would say upwards of 3,000 to 4,000 in the transfer portal, just baseball players. There are a number of plug and play guys for these programs that can come in and help them win immediately. And it really removes the question mark in development, because they're a proven entity. But at the same time, they still have to have players coming in at freshman classes to be able to go in there and be impact players and be part of that culture for a number of years. So it's a tricky spot for these coaches to be in. And for us as travel ball coaches, it now becomes, okay, we got to temper our expectations of where these guys might have been as players 6-7 years ago to where they are now, and they have to go to different programs in order to get to the program ultimately we feel that they're good enough to play at. But right now there are men available in the transfer portal that can go in right away and help those programs win. And you don't see a lot of national championships coming out of rosters full of freshmen.
No.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to be able as a freshman to play right away to get recruited, because otherwise the college coach is going to, you're going to leave if you're not playing right away. You don't really recruit for depth anymore. You recruit to plug holes. And you even saw that, like, I remember the NCAA basketball tournament, like UConn was rolling out guys and they had all transferred from other schools. And it's like, you're not even making a 4-year commitment anymore. You're just, going stop to stop and kind of figuring out what your best next move is for a year.
Yeah. It's so true. And like I said, these guys, these college coaches, their job is to win, and they've got to bring in the talent that's going to help them win. They're going to help the program win. It's a competitive environment, and if finding players that are in the transfer portal that they know are going to come in and help them win right away, it's what they have to do. And NCAA created the transfer portal. The players for a number of years have kind of used it, and now we're in a situation where it's kind of hurting the recruiting classes, but it is the environment we're in.
So what do you suggest to the guy who, may have been a borderline D1 or like a D3 guy probably not 2 years ago, but maybe like 5-10 years ago, that isn't getting any interest now? Like, are you suggesting, hey, maybe you prep, do a PG year somewhere, or like, what is the path that you suggest for guys like that probably should be playing college baseball, but just aren't getting recruited?
Yeah. I mean, the prep could be an option, but I really feel like getting into college and having an opportunity to be on the field as soon as possible is the best way to do it. Mm-hmm. And if you are projected 5-10 years ago as a guy that might have been a Power 5 type player, and now because of the environment that you're in the transfer portal and such, go mid-major, get on the field and play as much as you want. And honestly, the 10 years ago me would probably punch me in the face right now for saying this, but it's the environment that they're in. Like, I don't like it. I don't think I'm a big believer in the loyalty and building a culture from the ground up, and everyone being part of something. Unfortunately, right now it's a lot of hired guns, and there's a lot of money out there right now for college baseball player, actually any college athlete. So it is the environment, and everybody has to understand it, that, okay, if I want to be an impact player at Vanderbilt, South Carolina, North Carolina, BC, UConn, Northeastern, wherever it is, and I'm not that guy that can step on the field as a freshman, then I'm going to have to go somewhere else to get there.
Right. Yeah, I just saw like the Ohio State football team, 7 or 8 of those guys that could have been first or second round picks in the NFL draft last year came back because these collectives are putting so much money together that they are almost making more money in college than they will professionally. It's crazy.
No doubt.
I wanted to ask you about the oversaturation of travel baseball, because I think it used to be guys, who were going to go play D1 or really were college baseball prospects playing travel. And now it's almost like if you play high school baseball, you have to play travel, or like everybody's playing, in the fall and throughout the entire summer. And it's not so much Legion as it used to be. Does that make it more difficult when you go to these tournaments to get on fields where they're getting scattered? Because I talked to Pat Vigilio from Baseball U Connecticut a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying, like, unless you have connections and an established reputation, you could end up on some secondary field with playing down in Florida where you traveled 2,000 miles, and you could have just played right down the street in front of the same amount of people.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's true. It's truly about who you have speaking for you and the reputation of your program. Advocating for players, everybody can say they can do it. Having a reputable program, having a few talented players is all great, but the reputation is everything. We've been doing it long enough, and there are other programs around, and especially in the Northeast, that have been doing it long enough that we don't have to deal a lot with those issues. But there's a lot of programs popping up thinking that they can do what we've done, and it's taken Show New England upwards of 12 years to get to where we're at, where we know we're going to be on the main fields of complexes, and we know that we're going to get the looks that our players need. It was a grind to get there, and there was a lot to be said for the players that have come through our program to establish that for us. So I appreciate the hell out of what those guys have done, and how they've gone on to be really good college baseball players and guys getting drafted. But it's so true. Like, there is, everybody can say they can do it, and everybody can say that, hey, you come to our program and these are the looks you're going to get. It's few and far between. It really is.
One thing that you do, I know, to help your guys get recruited, that's a little bit different, is you'll play guys up at the U17 level. If you have a 15-year-old stud You'll get him out there against U17 competition, and that way, he can get scouted by college recruiters. How much of a difference does that make, and how much does it add to the looks? Maybe your 17-year-old players who are trying to get college interest. It probably helps them if you have a 15-year-old stud playing with them as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody's always trying to recruit ahead, right? And just get ahead of the game and get the guys' looks. Those specific players that you're talking about are definitely talented kids that have the ability to play at a high level and get on people's boards. I don't want to say they're necessarily getting recruited, but they are getting looks, and they are getting their names on boards early, and they're showing that they compete at a high level at a young age. But we've been super lucky with a lot of the arms that we've had, and I truly believe the arms kind of drive the recruiting process. We had a great summer this year. I think we walked out of the summer with 9 Division I commits and maybe 17 overall out of our showcase level. And we've had some really good arms that draw the college coaches, draw the recruiters, and then the position players get the looks. But we're really good at just finding the right fits for our guys and putting the players in a position for success. And not in a position where we're sending the wrong names to the wrong schools, and next thing you know, the guys don't show up because it's not a recruitable guy for them. So we've had a lot of success. We're going to continue to, the model that we have has worked, so we're going to continue to do it.
Yeah, when you talk about that model and getting those D1 arms in your program, is that you established a reputation? Because I know travel, in the summer, it's mostly games. There's not as much development. Are you doing the development outside of the summer season with these guys? Or are they saying like, hey, I know if I go to the show New England, they're going to have the D1 arm, so they're coming to you after they're already established?
No. This year's group that we had, I believe, 12 guys at our showcase level. At the 17U showcase level, 12 guys that have been in our program since they were 10 or 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
And 7 of those guys became Division I players. So we are developing from a young age. There are definitely the 1-off, 2-off, 3-offs that over the years just kind of organically end up with us. And then it becomes, for us, there's the talent, there's the velocity, there's the power, there's, all the tools and intangibles, but can they pitch? Is there pitchability? Can they control the strike zone? Can they find the barrel of the bat? Do they have a 2-strike approach? I'm a big believer in coaching. We're not a program that's just going to kind of just grab a bunch of talented guys and roll the balls out there and just go watch and play. I'm super competitive. I want to win games, and I hate guys striking out. I hate pitchers walking guys. I hate it is baseball to me, and we're developing players to be really good baseball players. The fact that we have talented players is great, but there's a lot of guys in our program that probably aren't as super talented physically as some players throughout the country, but they are great baseball players. They have high baseball IQ. They've been taught it at a very young age. They know how to run the bases. They know how to move runners. They know how to put the ball in play. They know how to pitch. They know how to pitch to contact. They know how to situationally pitch. Defensively, we are a big defensive program, and I believe that pitching and defense wins ball games. So all those things, when the guys ultimately have the opportunity to play at the college level, they step on the field and they have all those pieces to the puzzle as part of their arsenal, and that's why they play.
Hey, it's Bobby Moran, Director of Athletics at Thayer Academy. You know what? Experience matters, and Thayer Academy's professional coaching staff understands how to work with each student athlete to help them succeed. Our coaches and faculty are committed to ensuring both 5th to 12th graders feel known, connected, and prepared. This is Thayer's secret sauce, nurturing each student to reach their full potential. Here, success is truly a team sport. Are you ready for your child to take the next step? See what Thayer has to offer at thayer.org. That's THAYER.org.
Netting Professionals is proud to be the official netting partner of the Cape Cod League and the New England Collegiate Baseball League. Netting Professionals is in the sports business of improving athletic programs, one facility at a time. Netting Professionals designs, fabricates, and installs custom netting, wall padding, windscreen, batting practice equipment, and much more for high schools, colleges, commercial facilities, and stadiums throughout the United States, while providing high-quality products and great service to numerous baseball programs throughout the New England area. To learn more and to speak to a Netting Professionals representative today, visit them at nettingpros.com. Remember, when it comes to netting, it's Netting Professionals.
Are you serious about playing your sport in college? Do you need a flexible education that allows you to maintain your practice and competition schedules while also preparing you to succeed at the next level? You should check out the University of Nebraska High School. UNHS is accredited and offers more than 100 online courses, including NCAA-approved courses to protect your academic eligibility. Students could earn a UNHS diploma or take a single course for transfer credit. Courses are college prep, self-paced, and available 24/7, 365. Enroll anytime and take up to a year to complete a course. Visit highschool.nebraska.edu today.
Attention coaches, need baseball bat bags that last? Meet No Errors, crafting premium quality bags since 2004, the top choice for durability. Choose from stock bags for quick delivery or our semi-custom program for personalized logos in just 10 to 12 days. For a unique team look, try our full custom program. Let No Errors design your next team bags. Visit noerrors.com. That's no-errors.com for details. No Errors, where durability meets style.
I want to talk to you about the fall season, and it ultimately culminates at the WWBA World Championships with the Red Sox scout team. But with the show New England, I know at the college level, the fall is a very important time of year in New England because you're not getting many chances to get seen throughout the winter up here anyway. What's your kind of goal for the fall? What will it look like for your showcase teams?
Yeah, so we've got, we have a lot of multi-sport guys, and I promote that. So we kind of lose our football guys in the fall, which is normal. But there's a number of guys that are multi-sport guys that don't play a sport in the fall. And we roster, so we'll have a 2026 roster that is heading down to the Fort Myers for the underclass World Championship. And that is October 3rd. Those are our 2026s. We have a group going down there, and in my opinion, it is probably one of the biggest recruiting tournaments, for those guys. A lot of them get their names on boards, and now after August 1st, they can be contacted. A number of guys have already been contacted, but now it's like, okay, let's see them down there when the best in the country are down there in that tournament. And there'll be guys walking out of there with, hey, we're there, we're good enough, and they're starting to get offers. And there'll be guys that, hey, we got to get better. This is the evals we're getting from these schools, and this is what we need to work on throughout the course of the winter. So that all being said, that's our underclass, and then the upper class guys who are all pretty much established, committed guys head down to Jupiter. It's not all show New England guys for the Jupiter tournament. I work closely with a lot of the Northeast scouts in regards to getting players, and it's a really fun experience. We got a super talented roster this year. We have the last 4 years, but we're excited about this. This is a fun tournament for us.
Yeah, I was looking at that roster, and you're right. It is a loaded team there. You've got Grant McCubry, who was a Vanderbilt commit, but he's no longer committed there.
Yep.
But yeah, a lot of these big D1 guys. How do you expect the pitching? Robert Brown is also another big time arm. How do you expect to kind of line up the pitching there? Are guys, is it going to be a couple innings each, or do you have guys do extended?
Yeah, there's guys we identify as our pool play guys. Our 25s for the most part will be our pool play guys. We do have 26s on the roster. We have some exhibition games that we play prior to the tournament starting. On the 9th, we'll play some exhibition games and get those guys some innings, and then, be able to turn those guys around. But the pool play games will be, the Robert Browns and the McCubrys and some of the other guys that we have on the roster will be in there, pitching in those pool play games. It's an exciting time. the talent is there. We've got a tremendous amount of big time offensive, defensive position players. One of the best players in Canada is on our team, Philip Chung. Julius Rosado, I think he's the number 1 player out of New Jersey. Michael Hanna, Virginia commit, center fielder. We're loaded across the board with some players, so we're excited about it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. You've got a Texas A&M commit.
Yeah.
Stanford, like you mentioned, that's Philip Chong. Virginia, yeah. I mean, this team's stacked. And then you said you're kind of working with Northeast scouts to get that team put together. There's no tryout like the area code games and East Coast Pro Showcase. I know they have tryouts. There's no tryout for this team.
No. I mean, I got to trust the scouts. I mean, between their experience and the amount of talent that they're around all the time, the tricky part is most of the better players in the country are already on really good teams, and they have really good programs that they're playing for. And there's a lot of big time national teams that these guys, we try to find the outliers as much as possible. We do have, a lot of good, talented players up in the Northeast that play in a lot of really good travel programs that might not get the exposure that some of these other guys do nationally, but we're confident in their ability to compete. And I love bringing those guys down. I love bringing them down and going out there and doing really, really well. And, we're in every game. I think out of the last 4 years, we've won our pool 3 times. And I think we missed it by a tie last year. So we're super competitive, and I go to the summer rivalries. I go to the East Coast Pros. I go to the area code workouts. I'm at all those things. So I get to see all these players firsthand, and, they're all talented. They're all super. I'm kind of looking for the intangibles, a little bit of the, super competitive kind of FU guys where they go out there and they're just like, you just got to have them. You can't take your eyes off them for some reason. And those are the guys I kind of gravitate towards. So we're excited. I'm excited about the roster we have.
Yeah, and I know you were a Red Sox draft pick and prospect for a while. What is the partnership with the Red Sox like? What is, I know there's a lot of different scout teams. How do they support the team?
Yeah, so I work really close with Ray Fagnet. He's a Northeast area scout for the Boston Red Sox. Have had a number of conversations with Devin Pearson. He's the head of scouting for the Boston Red Sox. They allow me to get out there and get involved and really just kind of have eyes on these guys firsthand on the field, get to talk to them, get to meet them. There are a handful of guys that they will say, hey, we need this guy down there. We want to see him. Our scouts are going to be following him. Those guys are automatics on our roster. So it's been a great relationship. It's, obviously being from the Northeast, being from Peabody, drafted by the Red Sox, having an opportunity to play in the big leagues for the Red Sox, and now being able to do this. I love getting the Northeast guys the opportunities.
Yeah. It's funny. I think now, obviously there are fewer rounds in the draft, but I think it's over the last few years, it just doesn't seem like as many guys are getting drafted out of high school because, like we said, it's part of it is just, the guys are getting, I think, recruited more in these collegiate summer leagues, and the Cape League is pushed back all the way until the draft in July. How do you think, have you ever thought about like how your playing career may have been different if it had taken place now versus then?
I would not have been drafted.
No.
The cockiness and compete in me would like to say so, but and to be honest with you, I would have, looking back on it, I was super fortunate to be able to get through the early years of struggle in pro ball, because I did really struggle my early years. I think that looking back on it, if I had gone to college, I would have been a better pro player, having that experience. And now from a high school perspective, the minor leagues, because they've cut back on so many minor league teams, there's guys going right to the big leagues after a month of playing professional baseball from college. So, the talent level at the college level has gotten way better. Obviously the NIL money, having to be able to, make money in college has kept a lot of really talented players there. But the high school players, I would strongly recommend, if you've got opportunities to go to college, really good colleges that can develop you, go out there and play the best competition in the country. That's going to be your best opportunity to have success at the professional level. It is really hard as a high school player to go into the professional world, which is a man's world. And it's really not, the support system that these guys have is a lot better than it used to be. But it's a tough environment. It is really, really hard. I tell people all the time, it's, you're on rosters, you're on 25 player roster, and every single player on the team, you're trying to beat to the big leagues. You're trying to beat to the next level, but yet you're supposed to play as a team. It's just a really tough dynamic. It's a tough environment to be in. So you got to be really mature. You've got to be able to deal with failure. And failure at the pro level is really, really hard, especially if you're not a top pick. So if you have the opportunity to go to college and go develop and be in an environment where you got a tremendous support system of development and maturity and a little bit of safeguarding as well, I think that's the best bet for high school guys.
I hadn't thought about that. The fact that there are fewer minor league affiliates now, maybe these teams don't have as much patience with guys that they're trying to bring up, or they don't have those low A spots for them to kind of spend a year or two and just develop. That's it. I hadn't thought of that. That's interesting. Where would you have gone to college if you ended up going to college?
I was committed to Boston College. I was,
okay.
I was on my way there. I was going to be a two-way football, baseball guy there. So I had,
wow.
Yeah. So I had other offers, but ultimately BC was the place I chose.
What do you think about the future for BC baseball under Coach Interdonato? Are you familiar with him at all?
Yeah, I've gotten to know him a little bit over the last year and a half. I know they had a ton of success early last year. He's new to the area. Obviously, Boston College is in my opinion, the best academic and highest level of baseball in the Northeast. There's a lot of super talented players in this area, and as long as you're recruiting the right guys, you should be able to get super talented players at BC. And there's a long tradition there of good baseball, and to me that BC should be on the map, nationally. And I think that with the way he's had success at his previous school, winning, bringing that winning environment, he should have success there. There's a lot of players you can recruit nationally, but there's a lot of players in the Northeast too that over the years have kind of trickled down south into other schools that have had a ton of success, trying to keep those home, guys in their backyard at home. If he focuses on that, I think he'll have a ton of success.
Yeah. All right, good deal. Well, Steve, are you up for hanging out for the 3 Up, 3 Down segment? It's just a general interest baseball questions about what kind of led you to fall in love with the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, I'll introduce you to our producer, David Yaz.
Well, thanks, Dan. Why do you give our guests an option? They don't have an option. They have to do 3 Up, 3 Down.
Yeah,
it's mandatory. Let's get to it. Come on.
3 Up, 3 Down.
Just one quick note before we start 3 Up, 3 Down. Steve, according to my research, you are the greatest defensive catcher in baseball history because career, you never allowed a runner to steal second base, and you threw out two runners. Sorry, I didn't say that very well. Yeah. But do you enjoy that distinction? I got to think that's pretty cool. I mean, obviously you would have wished for a longer major league career, but
yeah.
Is it?
Well, I guess, does that make me the worst hitter in major league history?
You'll notice I left that out.
Yeah. So we got to put both in there. I'm pretty down to earth guy. So yes, I am the greatest throwing catcher in the history of the game, and also the worst hitter that's ever played. So,
all right, I'm gonna tell people about the first part. The second part we can some other time. All right, here are the questions for a 3 Up, 3 Down, and Steve, you can go first. If you had to pick, since we're in Red Sox country here, this is a Red Sox question. If you had to pick one Red Sox pitcher, past or present, dead or alive, in their prime, to win one game, Game 7 of the World Series, call it, who would you go with? Steve, what do you think?
I go with Pedro Martinez.
That's correct. The show's over. Tell us why.
Listen, it's Pedro or Roger. Obviously I grew up watching Roger Clemens. I was fortunate enough at a young age to be in a big league camp with him, but obviously Roger Clemens is a tremendous, it could be either. I was there and I saw Pedro in his prime, and he was just so dominant in front of, from what I saw with my own eyes being there, he was so dominant that it was imaginable that he was that good. And I was fortunate enough to catch him a little bit. I caught some bullpens for him. And, he just, the stuff that he could do with the baseball was, for me, he was, not only did he have the velocity, the movement, the speed differential, but he located all of his pitches. He located single pitch he threw it exactly where he wanted to throw it. I would go with Pedro Martinez.
It's really hard to argue with. He not only is he sort of legend because of some of the performances, and I think of that game against the Indians in the deciding game in the playoffs when he had to come in to relieve. I think it might have been Saberhagen, but he was injured. They kept him out of that game, but he's he's at 3/4 strength or something. He goes in there, it's 6 perfect innings to win that game, and that season he had when. I should look that up. It'd be a good producer, but he had one season where his ERA was like sub-2, and the league as a whole was like 4.5 or something. Just
unbelievably dominant. Unbelievable. Yeah. Yes.
All right, Dan, you got a different answer?
The only thing I'll say about Pedro is it just never, his like prime never really aligned with when the Red Sox were making the deep playoff runs, because Grady Little, there was the 2003 Grady Little situation. Then 2004, I want to say Schilling might have even been like the game 1 starter and Pedro game 2.
True.
But it's got to be Pedro in his prime. He was the most dominant of all those guys. But Josh Beckett had a great playoff run. Schilling, in 2004 had a great playoff run. But in terms of you're just picking a guy in his prime, Pedro sometimes would wear down by October too. But I would agree that it's probably Pedro.
He was superhuman. Dan, you'll take this question first. We've had, you guys can tell me, 1 season or 2 seasons of the ban on. A partial ban on defensive shifts. Was that new this season or last season?
No, I think this is the second season.
This is the second season. Yeah. Okay. Well, the question is just, how's it going? Keep the rule as it is with you guys know the rule better than I probably, but, or has the experiment not worked? Dan, what do you think?
I saw Bryce Harper say something about this recently, and he doesn't like it. He liked the shift because he felt like he had the ability to kind of hit it to the opposite field if he needed to. And now he just feels like he doesn't see the same amount of space, I guess, in the infield. But I didn't really love the shift where they'd bring everybody over. The third baseman would stand on second base, and then you'd have the shortstop and the second baseman. I think it looks more like a baseball game if the way that they do it now. So I'm okay banning the shift.
Interesting. Steve, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm old school. Play it straight up. Keep 2 guys on the left side, 2 guys on the right side. Keep everybody where they're supposed to be. Feet in the infield. I'm a purist of the game. But that being said, when hitters, big league hitters, decide they want to go against the shift, they can do it anytime they want. They really can. And to your point with Bryce Harper, the holes are smaller when you got everybody kind of even, right?
Right.
And you see it more so in the playoffs than you do the regular season, how everybody kind of changes their approach. And in the playoffs, what I noticed over the past years, there were less shifts during the playoffs because guys decided to be really good hitters instead of just trying to hit the ball out of the park and swing and miss every once in a while, and a lot of pull side swings where you can overload pull side. But yeah, I'm a purist. Keep 2 on the left, 2 on the right, keep them, straight up. If a little bit of movement here and there. I mean, there is some almost overload shifts. If you watch them, they're, a half a step to the right or left of second base, and you see a ball get smoked up the middle. You're like, oh, that's up the middle. And then there's a shortstop standing right there.
Yeah.
There's still a little bit of it, but yeah, these guys, if they decide they want to hit a ball in a certain direction, they can do it.
Yeah, you would think that they would do it more often, but I guess they have so many, they get set in their ways, don't want to disrupt their swing too much or whatever they're thinking. But I'll just say, as a fan, it really got frustrating when someone like Ortiz would hit a screaming line drive that it's sure to be a hit. Then there are 3 guys standing over there on the right side of the field.
Yeah.
And one of them just had
short right field.
Yeah, exactly.
The second baseman would be out in right field.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right, final question. And I don't know if it's an easy one or an obvious one, but here it is. Steve, you get it first. Is baseball still America's national pastime, or has it been surpassed by other sports?
No, I think it is. I truly think it is. I see the excitement. I go to Red Sox games all the time, and you know, I think minor league baseball has gotten better. Like I see, we got some guys playing pro ball, and I talk to them about the fans and stuff like that. And there were days where I was playing in minor leagues, and there'd be 10 people in the stands, and now every minor league stadium's got thousands of people there watching. It's a great environment. And not to discredit what the Savannah Bananas are doing, what I mean?
I thought of that when you mentioned minor league baseball. Yeah, it's a little bit
different version of what baseball is, but at its purest, it's a baseball. But I think it's it's America's pastime. In my opinion, it'll never be the NBA. It could possibly be the NFL, but I still believe as a baseball guy, it's got to be baseball.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Bananas, because they are by definition a sideshow. But it's a nice reminder that baseball should be fun.
Yeah, sure.
They have a ton of fun out there.
Yeah.
Dan, your thoughts? I have a guess as to what your answer is going to be, but go ahead, Dan.
No, I think it is. It's a different question than what's the most popular sport, because obviously the NFL gets better ratings for games, and the Super Bowl is a huge draw every year. But yeah, in terms of a pastime, you grow up watching it with your dad, or you grow up playing it. I still think more little kids are playing baseball than probably football. And just, the traditions the memories that you can get, enjoying it with your dad and all that type of stuff. I still think baseball is America's pastime.
I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff too. I would play the theme to Field of Dreams right now, but we don't have the copyright to it, so sorry. Terrific job both on 3 Up, 3 Down. And now, Dan, back to you to wrap things up.
All right. Thanks to Steve Lomasney for coming on the pod. Rate, review, subscribe to the New England Baseball Journal podcast on your preferred platform. Thanks to our producer, David Yaz. The Base Path podcast is a Siemens Media production.